try this one more time, shall we? I know a lot of people on the left are excited, they're elated that Donald Trump has lost the election. I get that. That's awesome, you know, if that's what you feel. I know that a lot of leftists put a lot more money and energy into Trump losing behind the scenes, and I get that. I didn't even vote. I felt like 2 Republicans running, and as it turned out, Republicans, you know, North Carolina went completely for Trump, so wouldn't have mattered anyway. I think it's kind of bittersweet because we thought that it'd be like a blue wave again. We thought so many folks would run against Trump, they would vote against Trump, and that didn't happen. You know, honestly, if I could leave the country, I'm leaving the South as soon as I can. Like when I go home, I'm not gonna go out and eat nothing. Like I'm getting out of North Carolina as quickly as possible. I'm embarrassed. As David Patman said it, that most, if it's like a normal country, a rational country, Trump wouldn't have gotten 30% of the vote, but he did. He got, he did pretty good. And took a lot of states. Took most of the Southeast. And we got Joe Biden elected, who's basically a Republican. And if America wasn't so far to the right, I think most people would they would know that. They'd be like, well, he's a Republican. He's effectively, but the fact that America has gone so far to it's like a drug addict. It's like a dude that's been like mainlining cocaine, and you're trying to give him a blunt, or you know what I mean? Like that's nothing to him. He's so far on the line of addiction. That's nothing to him. He's mainlining this shit now. That's what America is. We're mainlining fascism. We've been mainlining it. And so it's like, even a right-wing Democrat or a centrist, no, he's not centrist, a right-wing Democrat who's really not that radical is still a Marxist, because that's what we do in this country. If you're not 100% of, far-right white supremacist, then you're a communist. Which is good, because over time doing that, it weakens that word. If you call everybody who's left of Adolf Hitler a socialist, then over time that word don't have the same sting it did. That look, it's bittersweet. Look, I get it. Trump's loss ends a very dangerous era in American history, where you had a president actively aiding and abetting, actively inspiring and pushing forward white supremacist violence, talking about liberate these states and stuff. I mean, that's dangerous, and we should not downplay that. We should not ignore that for what it is. So Donald Trump being out of office, the fire is out, and that's a good thing. But the fact that so many people supported Trump, it makes me question, like, do people acknowledge climate change? Do people acknowledge, like, the issues we're having with the wildfires and stuff? Like, it makes me realize, like, maybe a lot of folks really don't get it or don't care, about the precipice that we're on right now, and that bothers me. That's what concerns me, because it's been a lot of danger, and Trump has played up a lot of violence. But I feel like I'm going to look back over the last 4 years, and I'm going to my main thing would be a wasted time. I mean, it's really worse. It's really worse than that, because Trump, he going out there with the wildfires. What do you say? Climate change will cool down. He told you that when the weather warmed up, coronavirus would go away. He told you you have a vaccine by the voting time. That's bullshit. We never have, most vaccines take 10 years to make, at least 4 years. And now, what I just saw last night, this thing is going backwards and forwards into animals. It's in mink. It's in the mink milk. They're having to put minks to death because of it. So this thing is going to become endemic. Trump played upon the know-nothing people who don't value science and think science is, these are the eggheads. They like to call you eggheads and stuff. These are those people that hate science. They hate, like, he played it up. And it's bad because when the vaccine comes out, I'm not even sure most folks will take it. I won't take it. Because what Trump did, and any president could have done this, was to twist the institutions and to make the institutions political, to make the CDC political, to make NOAA, National Oceanic, whatever it's called, the weather and all that, to make that political. And that's wrong. We don't want the CDC to be political. We want the best people at the job who can do the job well, not people who married Trump's daughter. And no, we don't want that. We want the best people. And in a reasonable society, I wouldn't have to explain this to people why you don't want your science to be political, why you don't want your doctors to be overtly political. You don't want that. I mean, I don't want loyalty tests. We don't want that. We want the best people. Sorry, calm down. So it's bittersweet. Trump he's definitely made an impact on the social fabric of the society. Like I said, climate change will go away. One thing that gets me, I don't know why. I don't know why I keep bringing this up every video. That when I look back at the Trump era, it won't be the dead. It won't be the 3 months wasted. It won't be the violence. It won't be the dumb hot takes he's made and the racism he's espoused. It's none of that. What I think will live on in my mind was the empty chair. It was last year. Was it last year? Oh, it was like late last year, early this year. You had these wildfires in Brazil, the Amazon, and guys were setting them. And there was a G8 or one of these groups was meeting with Trump, and he came out there acting a fool, being stupid. And when Trump, at the end of it, the last day, they were talking about like issues like the wildfires, the fires that were going on in Amazon. Trump left. Trump walked out. He completely walked out. And that picture of the empty chair, to me, more than anything, represents the Trump era. When it's all said and done, when he leaves the White House, whether he's in cuffs or otherwise, they gotta drag him out, whatever happens, when it's all said and done with, the picture of the empty chair, the picture of America abdicating responsibility and America abdicating a hand in world affairs. That is the Trump era. I don't know why that hits me, that I think about that out of all the shit that Trump has said, and there's been a lot. And I think that's because you get used to it. I mean, he hits you with so much bullshit and so much trash and so much nasty, so much viciousness and nastiness that, you get used to it. Even I've gotten used to it. That this is just a new era of politics to assault your opponent, to disagree with your opponent in a nasty way, to pull out every dirty trick, every foul trick you got in the book. That to me is the Trump era. And I feel like with so many people supporting him, what do you do? What can I do? What can I do to explain in the face of such stupidity? That's all I'm saying. What can I do? Nothing. Can't do nothing. And to me, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that this is the era we're in. I guess I thought we'd be further along than this. When Trump got in office, they had like this stuff to where you couldn't discriminate against gay and lesbian people, LGBT people. Trump come in, he got rid of discrimination. So basically, he talks about the videos and commercials talking about him being this for gay people, but yet one of your first acts was to actually make it okay to discriminate against gay and trans people. You're a liar. And what's worse, you're a liar. People probably support you while you're hurting them. That's sad. I mean, if you don't like gay people, that's whatever. It's fine, whatever. But if you're trying to pretend like Trump has done something for gay people because he signed some kind of paper, saying that you shouldn't be massacres in the Middle East, that means nothing. That's the culture war that Trump plays of virtue signaling that I'm actually better than these people because I do this, I support this, with very little substance. It just bothers me that we're not further along, that when he did that, the discrimination thing, more folks didn't stand up and say no. It bothers me that the Republican Party supported so much of what he did. One thing that I'm not going to forget, I don't think a lot of folks I know will forget the ugliness that I've seen, and I hope the voters will remember this. They will hold people who supported Trump responsible for the shit he did and the comments he made that honestly endangered lives, furthering destroying climate policy. Basically, there's no climate, no policy, making the world a much more dangerous place. We're like that movie Ecostorm. We're at the end of the movie, and the president isn't the president. It's the guy that's the Secretary of Defense. He's trying to use the satellites to create havoc. That's what Trump has been doing. Basically, that movie is what we've been doing behind the scenes. I know I should probably be happier about Joe Biden winning, but I'm not. But the struggle just continues. The struggle just begin, and the fact that more folks can't see that and notice that and be aware of that concerns me. Because I think that American ignorance of climate change is kind of like white supremacy. That we don't have to notice that stuff because we're not really affected by white supremacy in a negative way. If a bunch of people in Africa or some coastal region die, what's the big deal? To a lot of Americans, that's how we feel about it. Like, we're not affected. Other than California, we're not really affected by these things. So Trump, he tapped into that. But it doesn't hurt me, Thanks for listening.